has to evolve. You cannot say it is only for leaders, right? With this, I will try to go to my first panelist, Dr. Subi. What do you think? I come from a defense background. So we get a guy inducted, we train them, we roger them, and he keeps on delivering, we keeps on upskilling. Like we have got a guy who is working in Mirages, 5, 6 years, 7 years in Mirages, then we tell him to go in Su-30, again when MCF is done, and he keeps on delivering, right? So people are in radar system, then they are in communication system, they are still delivering. But the beauty is, we own people when we talk about defense, and we spend a lot of money on those guys. But when we talk about the corporate organization, where I personally feel the sense of belongingness is a little tricky affair, right? Because all corporate guys are dreamers. I have got BMW, next car should be Mercedes A-class, B-class, C-class. In Forge, everybody is same, whether you are at lower level or a higher level. So there is no ambition per se. And I think that keeps them steady wherever they are, right? And they keep on getting timely promotions if they are doing well, and that's it. But how do you, because we are talking we talk about how you retain, how you train. So my question to you is this, and I want to listen to your perspective, not a question. How is it so that as a leader, how do when we say we are talking about boosting workforce involvement, involvement means what? Is my guy is delivering for what I have taken him in my company? And if I have taken in my company, my HR has done his job. But how is it so? Then 6 months, 7 months, he is not interested and he wants to move ahead. So what kind of actions a leader should take in an organization to nurture this talent which has been identified by the HR after doing due diligence? So what do you think, in your opinion? I would like to hear from you.
Thank you so much, Devesh sir, first for having us here. I want to start by congratulating Vinayak and his entire team, and Sukrit, you're right here with us, for putting this together. It is such an important evening where professionals who are not just core techies are also in the same room as people who work on policies, people who work on business costs. The larger conversation is about information security. First, thank you, sir, for your incredible service, where you keep us safe, where you keep us protected.
Thank you.
And we can talk about all the good stuff like cyber security, information security, bringing up the next generation of leaders. आप हैं तो हम ये सब कर पाते हैं. Very, very grateful for making this not just a conversation about numbers, for not just making it a conversation about what are the 5 things that look great on an annual report or in a board meeting or in a PowerPoint presentation. I'm so glad that you started this at an existential level. How do you make sure that you create the same culture which puts the nation first and therefore the company becomes an equivalent? As somebody who's been a self-taught policy professional with a liberal arts background, decided to do my PhD in technology from IIT Delhi, and now I lead the Global Public Policy Charter for India's first unicorn, which is in Mobi. We're now a double unicorn in glance. We are present on 400 million devices. For the first time, India innovated on a consumer technology platform for something which was a dead screen or a lock screen. So without unlocking your phone, we come bundled with the Android software, and we are not an app. So security first had to be a movement where every single person in the organization needed to be sensitized. So a 3-year-old has access to the same information without ever having to unlock the device. And therefore, the question that you asked is something that we live with on an everyday basis. It's not just in India. It is the world over that there's a massive crisis of cybersecurity professionals. There is a crisis where, one, the world is seeking for core specialists, for domain specialists, and second, Lekin at the same time, as we run our race towards the world of IPOs, for raising debt, for asking for public money, for being scrutinized by regulators, there's a cultural and a behavior change, transformational shift. Now, this gets doubly compounded when you say there is talent mobility, and if you see Bangalore, there's a bloodbath out there. If you're great talent, there's never been a better opportunity to be celebrated and to be valued. And it's a good problem to have. So what is it that organizations therefore need to do now? How do you make sure that this is a boardroom conversation is something that we live with on an absolute everyday basis? So which is where the previous two questions. How do you create more heroes? How do you make sure that people who are at the back end, who are making sure that you have absolutely safe fundamentals, you have firewalls that work, you have the ability to even falter and nobody is going to wring your neck for it because that didn't work out. The same happens across any other business vertical, but the cost is so much more higher. So therefore, one, we inculcate a belief in retaining our people. So I'm very happy to share with you, sir, that at InMobi, the average age of an InMobian in a tech world is over 8 years. We have a boomerang program. It's a bit like Hotel California. Once you enter, you don't ever really leave. And that is a conscious desire in building an organization. So we started in 2008, became a unicorn in 2011, when it was not that fashionable, when it was not a term that was so popular. But we made sure we'll never build it based only on P&Ls, valuations, or bottom lines. So there's been an inherent celebration of values that we live by. We believe in entrepreneurship. We believe in dreaming bold. We believe in investing in every single individual's journey. So annually, when you are looking at that time of the year, there is no conversation on paise kitne milenge aur ye KPIs kya the. There is a conversation on milestones and success factors where your feedback is based on what was your potential, how is it that you could have done better, what is it that you did differently, what is it that surprised us. So every single month, we have tech programs where we are ringing the bells for engineers. It's an engineering first organization. And that should be music to people in this room. These are not the back-end boys for us. They are front and center. So together with product, we have one of the strongest engineering teams that's led by people who've, in our 17 years of existence, been with us for 16 and a half years. Great. And you'd also be very happy to know, sir, we've just been running a program with the Indian Army. It's the InMobi Indian Army AI Frontier Warriors program. So an inculcation that you're not just building for profit, you're not just building a product, you're creating for the country. And here is how you can take fantastic problem statements to the point that the young boy raised. How do you treat somebody who's got a core technical skill? How do you create a mindset to behave like a business partner? And that's what we've started doing, where they're part of every single conversation saying, here's the business metric, here is the engineering solution, and both of them have an equal seat on the table. So it's not just about information security, which is not an afterthought. It is not about keeping the data secure. It is about what is it that we can do and can build for and solve for if this data was free, if you had regulatory sandboxes. So that is really the long answer to your question, but I'm very, very passionate about this and very proud to share our story with you. Thank you, sir.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. I think you gave the perspective, and it is good to learn that how you are trying to train your manpower and try to retain them by upskilling and looking into their needs. Because every individual who joins an organization is, I say, it is ab initio training, and then he becomes a middle-level expert, and then he grows in the organization. So I would like to hear from Dr. Nayak, who is a very dear friend of mine, expert. You come from a wonderful company called PwC, right? So what is your take on encouraging employee participation in the organization so that they are into all kind of discussions involved, and this kind of belongingness increases in the organization when they see the objectives of the organization which are being achieved are being discussed. What is your take on this, and also what your organization is doing in that direction?
Good afternoon, everybody. I will just start in the problem in a little different way. That the whole world is coming and they are talking about ABC. A means artificial intelligence, B means broadband, it is mobile broadband, C means cloud computing and cyber security. The whole world, everywhere you go, they are talking these three things. But when you comes to India, India is also talking three, A, B, C. A means Atmanirbhar Bharat, B means BharatNet, every talukas will go and implement the network. C means come and make in India, so that will make our product more secure. So having said that all these things, so when you go to this kind of analogy and you build the cyber security professionals, basically it depends on companies like us. We have to give them and throw them what actually the kind of technology they are dealing with. Initially, when we tell them that you are going to deal with the technology like artificial intelligence, mobile broadband, cloud computing, all this technology when we will deal, we have to give the proper analogy to them. So I'll just give you one of the examples that will really catch you. The mobile broadband that what you are using previously was 4G. Now all of you are using 5G. But if you are using 4G technology, it was like just you are going to the inbuilt to the mobile handset, then you connect to your network, then you will come out. So that is how actually the mobile network operates in the 4G network. But when it comes to 5G, there is huge amount of applications are running, whether your healthcare application, telecommunication application, or your transport application. Your 5G is like initially your house, your building is a 4G, but when you build the 5G, it's like a Mysore Palace. That means you have lot of inputs, lot of people can enter into there, lot of people can come out from the 5G network. So I need every point, my endpoints to be secure. If I need 5G to be secure, I need plenty of professionals to secure each and every endpoint and coming out point from the Mysore Palace. So that is how actually the 5G is giving. So that's why when we tell to the people that when you work in the 5G, you have to understand the application need to be secure. You have to understand the networking needs to secure. You have to understand the slice need to be secure. You have to understand what extent your service-based architecture will access to different kind of healthcare applications that need to be secure. So that means plenty of security professionals you have to find out. So similarly, another interesting pattern is when you use, that is your cloud computing and the artificial intelligence things. So cloud computing basically gives a lot of applications that will be used in the cloud environments. Initially, cloud was started, but now it has become matured. But if you see in the artificial intelligence space, artificial intelligence is growing. So that's why you are testing the artificial intelligence, large language models. You need a very hardcore cyber security professionals. You cannot do with the people, those who are working here. So I'll just give another example. I was in Chennai just 4 or 5 days back. It was a cyclone in the Chennai. I was coming from a Indigo flight. While coming in the Indigo flight, the flight took up. After a certain time, there was a senior person was sitting beside me. The flight goes to a heavy toss because it's a cyclone time. She goes. Then in the meantime, the pilot came and goes to the restroom. So that person who was just sitting near to me, he was looking like this. So I told, sir, don't worry. It is a highly 380 Airbus operating with artificial intelligence machines. Lot of language models are being inbuilt there. Don't worry, nothing will happen. But he did not listen me. He is then still looking like this. In the meantime, the pilot came, the flight gets settled. Then he asked me, what you do? I say, I'm working in PwC. He said, no. What is your qualification? I say, my qualification is PhD from IIT Bombay in cyber security. He said, that is the big problem. He told me. I said, why? He said, you guys leave everything to machine algorithms. So that's why, how many CISOs are here? See, that is the real problem. Right? If you want to tame the technology, which is bring by the CIOs, that is artificial intelligence, machine learning, cloud computing, mobile, who will control? It is the pilot who ultimately I learn from him. that the pilot goes, take a split time decision and control the flight, and because of that, the gentleman is absolutely correct. The pilot might have taken a split time decision. So where the CISOs are here, if the CISOs are not there, how they can control the technology we are coming from length and breadth? So that is where we have to train maximum amount of chief information security officers, chief security officers. So before concluding, since we have a very less time, so I just want to show one of the report is brought by the World Economic Forum, and that report is called Strategic Cyber Security Talent Framework. How many of you have read this report? So this report says that how to groom the strategy, basically the cybersecurity professionals, how to acquire them, how to keep them in your organization, what basic skill you need to embed them, how to make them ready. But ironically, this report take a case study, and where the case study has been taken? Any guess? The case study has taken from DSCI. Can you imagine? Please give a big hand to DSI people. Please. So World Economic Forum is taking a case study from DSCI and saying how you have to nurture the cyber security professional. I think, sir, that is the answer. So I have not gone detail of how our organization is saying, but you guys are doing fantastic job. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Nayak. Your insights are always great. Now I'll move to Sukrit. Sukrit, you have been interacting with so many organizations because of your job, and you interact with oil and energy sector, you interact with BFSI, you interact with regulators. So what is your take on when you interact with the CISOs there? So how they try to foster a sense of ownership amongst the employees? If in your interaction when you are talking to them, because you are very regular on the aspect of interacting with these people on all kinds of platforms. So when you speak to these people, CISOs, CIOs, or maybe CEOs, how you feel through those interactions, how they are able to create that kind of sense of ownership into their employees? This just I wanted to know from you.
So, basis my interaction, 2-3 observations I could correlate here. One is empowerment. A leader is mostly empowering the team to take those critical decisions. See, CISO's role, I would say junior to even mention anything in this case, but a CISO's role is kind of a 24/7 clock, which is highly uncertain. While you have the best of all measures in place, but you still can't be very sure of what the next second going to be looking like. So a level of trust is actually placed on the team. And that team can only deliver upon the trust when they are empowered and when they have the liberty of innovation at the same time. Great. You'll see a lot of, so I would have actually asked how many, I'm derogating a little bit, but if I can ask this question to everyone with a raise of hand, how many of you would actually, if you are not already in the cyber stream, but how many of you would like to build a career in cybersecurity? Can I see a raise of hand? How many of you would want your children to have a career in cybersecurity? There's a difference, right? How many of you would like your children to have a career in AI and ML? I'm talking about special streams. Yes. You see, there's a difference. Now, this is not just an organization challenge. It's a societal challenge at the same time. Because charity begins at home, and it starts from when a young kid is actually groomed on multiple tenets. One is career, which is well-paying, which is, now we are talking about Gen Zs now. Now they need a lot many different attributes to keep them glued and motivated. So these are elements which is a challenge for the industry. So when I have these conversations with CISOs, the biggest challenge for them is talent acquisition. Correct. And even bigger is retention.
True. Because
they are fighting amongst each other. Let me be very honest, all the CISOs are fighting amongst each other to keep the talent with them. Otherwise someone else is waiting with an offer letter in hand. So, and I believe I can correlate with everyone's thoughts here, but I think empowerment, trust, innovation, and the opportunity to give them the right set of skills with that trust that yes, they are going to continue in the same journey. So drawing cues from what you had mentioned about defense and what Dr. Subi also mentioned, I think it becomes a part of DNA when you create a situation or a scenario of harmony based on all these aspects. And it's a ticking clock, so we'll see deviations. But at the same time, yes, all of these are the realities of the business world today.
Thank you very much. Now, Anish, I'll come to you, but I like this word, cybersecurity engineering, because engineering is very close to security, this, that. When it comes to engineering, this word I love, because your title says cybersecurity engineering, Bosch Global Software Technologies Limited. So I want to know from you, like we are having hackathon, right? So to nurture a talent, you have got guys and you have given them some, prizes. That's why they are working there. They are trying to get that 5 lakh, 4 lakh, 6 lakhs, whatever is the award. So how do you recognize? I'm just thinking, do you have some kind of mechanism where you recognize your cybersecurity professionals who are doing better than XYZ and give them some kind of reward, basically to encourage that they are doing their job very nicely? And another aspect I want to know from you, how as a leader you lead by example, like you show some kind of commitment to them, you show some kind of cybersecurity governance to them, and you show some kind of transparency and communication. So all these aspects, how the Bosch is, I'm just wanted to know your perspective on that aspect.
Yeah, so nice questions, sir. So I will talk about the engineering aspect. So before that, very good evening to all of you. Nice to be here as part of the panel with the esteemed panelist. So to answer your first question, sir,
Okay.
In terms of how do we differentiate cybersecurity talents, right? So we do have different strategies. I mean, one may not fit for all. You know that, right?
Okay, correct.
So some are the hackathons or the CTFs, right? There are people who really wanted to do that kind of, hacking. Yeah, that's a passion for them. So there are a set of people who really, wanted to be recognized, not just in terms of money, in terms of participating in bug bounties, hackathons, CTFs.
True.
So if you ask me from Bosch perspective also, we do conduct these kind of activities almost like, on a monthly basis, right? That's one aspect of it. Now the second thing is we also encourage the technical guys or the experts to be part of the latest technologies, be it the AI, what Dr. Deb talked about, or the machine learning, or now we are talking about generative AI, right? So all these latest technologies, we do provide access to all our colleagues. That's the second aspect. Now, the third one is we also give flexibility, right, in terms of working in different, let's say, industry verticals. So I come basically from an automotive background. Yeah, so automotive product cybersecurity is something which is in my DNA, right? But of late, we also look at healthcare, for example, right? We also look at IoT products. We also look at wherever there is cybersecurity and product cybersecurity is in place. So we do give opportunities or flexibility for people to move, let's say, from one vertical to the other vertical, right? So industry verticalization is one thing which we do. At the same time, we also give opportunities for, let's say, I have a penetration tester, right? So he does the penetration testing, let's say, for something like 1 to 2 years. Now, what we do is we give him a different set of challenge. I mean, instead of a pen test, we give him a fuzzing or a side channel analysis as the next topic for him. I mean, because it's always the passion for them to move up to the next levels, right? The last one, to answer your question, it comes from, sense of contribution, for example, right? That I can relate it to the policy part also. For example, the Indian OEMs, right, Mahindra or Tata. Now, if they have to release any car in India, they should go to ARI and get a type approval. right? And this is not just, let's say, the OEM. This is a process which involves all the technology suppliers, including Bosch, including Conti, including whoever is a supplier to Mahindra. It's a set of process for them to be ready to go to ARI for a type approval, right? So that's where what I say, it's a sense of contribution that also motivates the people. Great. Right? I mean, the last point I wanted to cover, this is, see, let's say I answered saying that we do have this kind of experts. Now, to get them in terms of the previous panels where they talked about, one is, I do agree, what Bosch is doing is a long-term internship.
Correct.
We engage in long internships from 11 to 1 year, 11 months to 1 year period, which we feel we get very good results in terms of their involvement. And after the internship, we take them in, right? The second thing what we are doing from Bosch perspective is, we have recently tied up with BITS Pilani, Hyderabad, where we are conducting a postgraduate diploma specifically on automotive cybersecurity.
Great.
Yeah, it's a 1-year course online. The first cohort is already ongoing. We started almost 6 months now. The second cohort is on the way. We see that even our guys enroll to that, right? Our own people who is not from the cybersecurity background, they have enrolled to that. And the advantage is, once that course is completed, we get access to the talent directly, because we give hands-on, we give ethical hacking trainings, we give hands-on automotive cybersecurity trainings to them. So access to them, getting to them, and then we follow these kind of steps.
I think amazing. I think we have heard from the perspective of the industry. We have heard Dr. Subi talking about even the policy. She's coming from the policy aspect. So it is good to learn that every organization is spending time and money and efforts to train and retain the manpower in the domain of cyber. And this is very interesting aspect which he was mentioning about the internship, which was spoken earlier also. So nurturing the talent is very important, and what Sukrit mentioned and what Dr. Nayak was mentioning, it is also good to nurture people before they enter any organization, right? So like the DSCI is making an effort, what he was mentioning about the World Economic Forum, we run a program called Cyber Shiksha, where we take BTech IT girls and then we train them for 6 months, right? So they become cyber security specialists, and I'm very happy to tell you they are all working in big 4 companies, and Deloitte, KPMG, and what you call it. And that's why we found that mention in that report what he was mentioning. And now recently what we started, I'm just sharing with you, we have got a program called Cyber for Youth. The very interesting thing what we are doing is the 6th, 7th standard boys and girls, we are training them, right? And now very soon we'll start for 9th, 10th standard also. So one is creating a culture inside the organization, and second is creating a culture outside the organization, which Sukrit was mentioning, ki how in my house or in other families, how we change the mindset. Like when I was in my younger days, I was told either you become a doctor or an engineer. Then after a few years, I realized MBA also got added into that. But today, if I ask somebody to go in cybersecurity, he says, first let me complete my engineering. So this is a big challenge, but yes, with the kind of digitization taking place and the kind of involvement the boys and girls are having and spending time on the screen, and the way their life is changing from offline to online. Today's lifeline is online, you all will agree with me. And the COVID has changed drastically on that aspect, right? So I think retaining the talent is, I don't find it's a very big issue, provided the leadership look into it, that this aspect is to be looked in detail, not on a surface level. So when you induct a guy, you have to see in him that this boy and girl he's going to deliver. When you have already decided that, there's no reason why you don't spend time and money to nurture him and that he remains in the organization, what you mentioned. So I would like to hear a last comment from you. What more can be done apart from what we have discussed?
Thank you so much, sir. And this is the crux of the matter. So when you're looking at the global talent gap, it stands at about 3.3 million specifically for cybersecurity. India alone requires 100 1.3 million cybersecurity professionals, there are at least 30% jobs which are vacant in very large enterprises. So it makes good sense for parents, for the society, for the community to start investing in skills. And the other statistic that we should be mindful of is at least 60% of applicants who employ, the industry believes that they're not ready to be joining as core cybersecurity professionals, which is where the what more aspect comes. We jointly co-created Cyber for Youth together with DSCI. We decided to look at this as a personal mandate at Glance and Inmobi, together working with over 400 million users in India as well as in US, LATAM. How is it that we get cybersecurity the spotlight that it deserves? So even when we look at Nobel Peace Prizes, we may or may not see direct contributions, but the intention is to put a spotlight either on a leader or in a region or in an issue where we say this is a pressing challenge. When we were growing up, sir, MCA, BCA, there used to be the 90s and fads and trends. And a great indicator always of the times that we live in is the Amul billboard or the ads that used to come from a certain cream that would promise to make you 3 shades lighter, where they would say, this is the profession of choice today. So I still go back to the previous session where this young boy said, how do we turn people who are actually warriors into heroes? So this is where the role that DSCI is playing. This is where every single organization needs to start investing in storytelling, needs to start making heroes of cybersecurity professionals.
True.
So that more, and I bring this down to the bare minimum, what do you take home? You are getting better salaries as cybersecurity professionals. If you look at the average IT professional benchmarks, so sometimes you hear horror stories of 3.5 lakhs per annum. This ranges anywhere between 10 to 12 lakhs per annum. It makes for good investment decisions. It makes for better marriage prospects. It makes for building a better society, because none of our dreams that Dr. Debu outlined for all of us, the NOFN or the BharatNet project, which is connecting 600,000 villages in India, 250,000 village panchayats, our digital India dream. The Prime Minister himself had to come out 2 weeks ago and address the menace of digital arrests. So isn't this an India of many, many Indias? While you make such rapid progress, we are gunning for a $6.3 trillion economy goal, which has been revised for $5 trillion economy. It has to be a movement that comes from the bottom, which is a mandate for every single organization to say, 1, we will invest in the growth of cybersecurity professionals. 2, we will work with academia. I've been a professor earlier, I've taught, I continue to engage with at least 5 campuses, where our constant endeavor is to say, by the time your student passes out, the subject that you may be teaching might be obsolete. The hackers, non-state actors, state actors. India is today the world's most targeted, single most targeted country in the world for cybersecurity risks. Over 1,500 attacks on critical establishments every single week. That's India for you. So I can't emphasize on the need that we need to continuously upskill, we need to amend the courses, we need to build the programs, we need to make sure industry is working with academia, there is enough research, there's enough collaboration and sharing, and most importantly, boardrooms recognize the value that cybersecurity professionals and their C-suits bring to the table. So I have nothing but gratitude and the commitment that we have to partner with organizations such as DSCI, NASSCOM, and continue doing the work across all ministries to say we cannot achieve our targets, whether digital economic goals, whether our $1 trillion dreams, or whether bridging the digital divide in the country without creating something so fundamental, which is at the heart of trust, sir. So I'd like to end with those words.
Thank you so very much.
Thank you.
And last word.
Just to say about our company, we have around 1,200 professionals in cyber security. So what we did in starting from BAPT to Security Operations Center to OT security to IT security. So there is a plenty and of disciplines where cyber security has been used. So we have recently, we will find out there are a lot of advertisements where we need many cybersecurity professional, whether it's a intern, whether it's required a senior associates, we need a senior level peoples in the cybersecurity domain. So it's like a very challenging environment. As Sikrit has rightly told, it's a very cat and mouse kind of game that you take a person and you train them, and finally you will see how actually they will sustain in your organization. We have a very beautiful program for them. So that's why most of the people, those are working our organizations are 10 and 15 years, then working in the cyber security professionals. Last, the example I have given deliberately is A, B, C. If you see artificial intelligence, mobile broadband, cloud computing, whatever the amount of job creating by these three technology, cyber security is, let's say, taking 4.8 lakhs job requirement immediately for India, whereas cyber security required a 5 lakh professionals. So that means it's taking more job requirement for the cyber security. So that is why actually it is very essential to tell your people that they go to this kind of field, and that Subhi has rightly told, it has a lot of lucratives, salary structures, and a lot of things that they will get an initial advantage to the other streams.
Thank you, Dr. Debu. Thanks a lot. Sukrit, last word from you.
So,
Before we
I will
two
have a
questions
different
at least.
perspective here. The perspective is, while we, in full respect to whatever thoughts we have shared, but the challenge at the grassroots level or the ground up level, because I also interact with the academy and I see there are two kinds of mindsets in the student community. One is the one which is agile and wanting to create a difference. The other which is just following a pattern. Okay. Now the biggest challenge in the majority of folks that we get are the ones who are following a pattern. Now the challenge is, many of the strategies that we are discussing or we have heard, they're board confined. They're discussed, but the execution is like a Chinese whisper. You start at A, you reach at Z, but there's a huge difference in ensuring that where you started is where you end. And I think I will again go back to what I started mentioning, trust.
Okay.
We need to bring in a level of trust that connects people with their motives and organization's projections.
Okay. Thank you.
A
Anything more you
TTT
want to
model,
add?
probably I will just close it with that. What we are also inculcating to large organizations, see, we are also small organization, we cannot address everything. While we are in this process of ensuring that the right skills are inculcated and adapted at the industry level, we cannot do it ourselves. It can only happen when organizations start believing in their people. They induce a TTT model predominantly for their people. Because end of the day, it's a people's person who gets the vote.
True.
That happens even in an organization.
True.
So if you bring in the leaders from within, you empower them to create a new culture, that's when I think things will get mobilized. And then there has to be a constant check between what we have discussed in the boardroom to what is actually happening at the grassroots level. And a simple example is, you decide upon a hiring manager's requirement to a talent acquisition person actually reaching out to a candidate. There's a huge difference sometimes.
Thank you. I'll not give you a chance to speak because I would like audience to ask a question to you. Quick question. How much time we have? 2-3 minutes? Okay. Gentlemen, any questions to our panelists? Please, go ahead. Anybody? No questions? Wow. So everything what they spoke is crystal clear.
Sir,
I'm so happy. Some raise hand, yeah? Oh, there is someone there, yeah. At least trouble my speakers, yeah. Come on. Ask them challenging questions.
Yeah. So hope you are able to hear me. I am from Infosys. I manage Cyber Defense Center. Anyway, I am targeting the question on the fresher side only, investing on the freshers to learn cyber security, right? Now you see, right, I am more focused on the automation, and I'm also talking to the startup companies, AI startup companies, to reduce the L1 90%. So if when we are asking the people or freshers to learn the cyber security, other side we are all organizations are moving to the automation or AI-based SOC, right? So there won't be jobs on the SOC side, SOC or anything. I'm talking L1 perspective. So just I want to hear your views, whether I'm maybe wrong, but I just want to hear your views on that.
Yeah, I'll just answer. I'll give a practical example that will relate to you. So what actually happening in the Gurgaon road, I was going with my car, with my wife, and my son is sitting behind. He always play with the tab. So in the in the road while going on, I was speeding my car and suddenly put a brake. My son fell down. Once he fell down, my wife told, what happens to you? Nothing is in front of you and you put a brake. I was thinking if there will be a cyber attack, how will save India? Then my wife told, first you think how to save your son and wife rather than saving whole India. So L1 people, those who are working in the things, they must think about how actually they will seeking the first lines of defense rather than thinking about taking care of whole SOC operations. That will not work out. So there will be L1, L2 and L3 structures are there. So first lines of defense is L1 people. They must learn how to do those kind of operations and how to be converse with the commands, Linux commands and all these things to take care of the security operations. So that is the important thing they must learn and then they will succeed. Thank you.
Great answer.
I also agree to Dr. Deb. Automation will not kill any jobs. Only thing is they have to just reskill, look at new ways of, if it is not just L1, they will get opportunities to move up the ladder. So we have to look at as an opportunity.
Now, I think automation will actually enhance the efficiency and effectiveness of your operation. Don't worry about somebody will take your job. When computers came, I distinctly remember somebody put the computer behind his chair, put a white sheet on top of it. Nobody will touch it. Why? It is very expensive. I am responsible for it. So in my Air Force itself, I am sharing with you, my CO had one computer, beautiful computer, but he will never allow anybody to touch it. So I said, if we will not touch it, how we will learn? No, I have signed for it. If anything goes wrong, I will be taken for already. So look at the scenario. Then he said, when this will come, then what CO will do? Every decision it will take. So I don't like it. So look at it. What has happened? I distinctly remember as a small child, there was a price, upswing in the sugar. And my mother said, अब हम चाय कैसे पिएंगे? चीनी इतनी महंगी हो गई है. अभी मेरी मदर 92 की अभी भी पीती है चाय. Please understand, ये सब होता रहेगा. Technology is always trying to support what you are doing right now. And it will help you in enhancing your capability, increasing your efficiency and effectiveness. Look at the washing machine has come. Still you wash certain clothes by hand also. But it is making the life easy. पहले चटनी बनती थी सिलबट्टे के ऊपर, अभी एक बटन दबाओ बनती है नहीं बनती है, और फिर खा के क्या बोलते हो, वो मज़ा नहीं है जो नानी बनाती थी. तो आप प्रॉब्लम ह्यूमन बींग्स के साथ ये है कि वो लोग बड़े परेशान रहते हैं हर चीज़ से. ऐसा कुछ नहीं है. अडॉप्ट थिंग्स लाइक वी हैव टू अंडरस्टैंड द लैंग्वेज व्हाट माय यंगस्टर स्पीक. आई डोंट लाइक पिज़्ज़ा बट आई एंजॉय विद हिम, अदरवाइज देयर इज़ अ फाइट. So the thing is this, when technology comes, whether you talk of AI, you talk of ML, you talk of blockchain, you got robotics, ये बड़े words हैं. It is not going to disturb you. It is you have to align yourself. How I adopt the technology, make my organization do better and better. That's the thing I think for the automation.
If I may just add, Hindi में एक word होता है ना जुगाड़. We always try to find out a जुगाड़. So when something stops, by the way, like everybody mentioned, AI also is going to generate a lot of jobs. So
Yes.
either you're on this side of the table or on the other side. But there is always this jugaad element in our mind that if something goes wrong, then we have a plan B in action. That plan B will come in. That will be a new age technology at that era. It's just that we are fearful right now for what we anticipate we are not capable of matching.
Last quick question, gentlemen, because we are running short of time. They will kill us.
My question to Dr. Subi, she is coming from policy background and public affairs. So coming to the topic, what policy levers, would you suggest, one or two maybe, to boost participation of women workforce in cybersecurity?
Great. Good question.
This can't be a quick question. I'm so glad that you posed that question. Thank you so much. It's a passion project. We have, for the first time, opened up the Indian National Science Academy, which is part of the Department of Science and Technology. DST itself, the ministry, is initiating 3 new projects. Some numbers that we should look at. We approximately 18% women in STEM. This, I wear several hats. One of them is chairing the FICCI Committee on Women in Technology, Policy and Leadership. What we are doing together across 6 ministries as we speak today is running an India-wide program where we will be working not just with private sector schools, looking at NEP 2020, but also with every single Kendriya Vidyalaya, with Sainik schools, with Jawahar Yuva Kendras, with Nehru Yuva Kendras, so that we are not only saying that fundamental and pure sciences are important. One is to say this is important. Second is to look at why aren't more women taking up science? How do you make sure that labs are accessible? How do you make sure that you're attacking the fundamental root problem of science-based colleges and programs closer in their proximity, addressing the dropout issue? It's a systemic problem, but we are using data to target, correlate, intercept, and also actively using AI to look at which are the schools, which are the subjects where promising young talent is emerging. On top of the layer, we are building an Atal Innovation Tinkering Center invention where young, promising, fundamental science students will receive more mentorship, more talent access, and that's where we're also roping in more content producers who make women as heroes, where this conversation that ladki zyada padh likh jayegi to shaadi kaise hogi, one that's fundamentally being challenged, and second also the notion that marriage is only the end game for any woman as a leader. Third, we're also looking at more heroes like Kiran Majumdar-Shaw, where working across every single state, because education is also a state subject. And then looking at what can we do to celebrate more women heroes. So Mars mission being primarily led by women researchers. So both in terms of opening very large haloed corridors where men would only walk those doors, they are being questioned. So, and something that I'd love to invite you for is a Women Associate Program in the INSA. Is from 1935. It's the first time that we've opened this up to entrepreneurs, women leaders from all different fields. And the last bit is popularization of science itself. Popularization of science and scientific temper as a culture of questioning, as a culture of innovation. So the agenda is to make India not just a startup capital, but the innovation capital to the world, and ensure that women and female labor force participation increases and you see much more women in STEM. I'll end here, but as you can tell, I could speak to this question for quite some time. Thank you.
So, ladies and gentlemen, we should clap. I have not finished my sentence here. We should clap for Nari Shakti. And second clap for my eminent speakers who are there. And I can't thank enough Dr. Subi, Dr. Debu, and Sukrit, and my friend Anish. They have given a very nice perspective, and they have actually enhanced our knowledge that there are certain things being done in the organization to retain, train manpower, and they are looking into those aspects very closely. And I think with that kind of thing, we are in a good hands, and everybody is thinking about that. So, a good round of applause for our panelists, and thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you to every speaker.
And thank you, Niharika.
It was really interesting and
I hope we have kept
very,
to the time, right?
it was very engaging session. Thank you so much. So I would request Neha to please facilitate all the speakers.
Yeah,
so first to Neha, Devesh Vassa sir. Okay. So Mr. Anish from Bosch, Dr. Subi in Mobi Group, Dr. Devrata Nayak, PwC, Mr. Sukrit, DSCI, and Dr. Devesh Vassa. Thank you so much.